Alright, welcome back to the MR2 Spyder build. Now, if we look down here, that's the security light that's flashing there. That was the problem before when I was trying to get the engine started. And we've figured out it's because of the immobilizer inside the ECU. Now, I've just gotten this back this afternoon. It was at a locksmith who virginized the EEPROM for the immobilizer. So I've just hooked it back up to the car, got the battery reconnected. Now I'm going to do the key programming sequence to register these keys to the ECU. So because that chip in the ECU is back to how it would have been from factory, it's now in auto key recognition mode, something like that. So it is just waiting to accept new keys, and the first keys obviously that fit the ignition barrel and have the correct RFID chip in it, it will link it to the car. So we're just going to go ahead and do the sequence. So driver's door closed, and then it's just a matter of inserting the key, not starting it or turning it, just inserting it, and we're just gonna watch the security light. So that's key in, solid light, wait 5 seconds. I'm gonna remove that key. Then I'm gonna get my next key. Uh-oh. Where's the other key? It's in my pocket. So I'm gonna insert the next key. I'm going to remove that key, brake pedal, push 5 times, and that should be done. So now we're going to go ahead and try and start it. Alright, so ignition's on, we're getting this double flash, so that's not the solid flash that it was before, which was it knowing that the keys weren't right. That double flash is it looking for another key. Because I've only entered 2 keys instead of 3, it can still accept 1 more key. So it will keep looking, apparently for even up to a couple days, and then it'll exit this auto programming mode. So here we go. That was something. Let's try and give it a little bit of throttle and see if we can get it to run a bit more than that. Alright, that's enough for me for now. There's a whole heap of sensors and stuff that has to be hooked up in here, but for me that's a win. So we'll next thing we see will hopefully be this running properly, but I'll finish up this wiring harness. I've got to extend the O2 sensor, and I've got to do vacuum lines and just tidy up the engine harness a bit more, but I smell fumes. It fired up. I'm pretty happy, so yeah. so I've made up a intake for the car now. So it's just a $40 like kit off eBay, a universal 3-inch intake kit. Comes with this pod filter up here, and it's just got a whole heap of different pieces. So I found a couple pieces that fit in nicely. Got the pod filter lined up with the side vent, and then also I have connected my MAF and air intake temperature sensor into this pipe. So had to use the hole saw and make some mounts, so that's in there now as well. I've got half the wiring loom back out. This is the side that goes down the back of the engine. I'm just putting electrical tape over all the split tube and extending some of the wires so they fit properly. And I got the fuel rail out because I'm going to route the wiring loom correctly this time. And then after I'm done with the wiring loom, it goes back in. That can all get tucked away and cable tied where it needs to go and all that. And then I'm going to hook up all of the coolant lines. There's a couple up here that go to the filler bottle, and then also that go from the back of the engine to the firewall. And then I'll be ready to fill it with coolant, and we'll be able to start it and run it for over a couple of seconds and finally hear this thing run. So hopefully I can get to that stage tonight, and then tomorrow at midday, first proper start. So, back again, another day, one step closer. So, the MR2, it's back on the ground nearly. All the coolant lines and all that are hooked back up. We do have one problem though. Last night, I was filling the gearbox with gear fluid, and it just started pouring out of the transmission side axle seal. So that seals, it actually looks like the wrong ones on there, or it wasn't put in correctly, but it's just pouring out. So this whole hub assembly needs to come apart, and so we can take the axle out. We might put a new axle, the CV joints and the boots and all that while we're there, but we'll see what condition they're in once we pull them out. But that seal definitely needs to be changed. But now we're just spinning the car around, so the exhaust will be facing outside, and we're going to fill it up with coolant, and hopefully we can start, run, and get it to idle for a little bit. So we won't be able to drive it, but we'll be able to start it. So let's get this car turned around. With some coolant, and there's a couple of leaks, and that's alright. I wasn't surprised that there were leaks, but when I checked to see where they were coming from, I was pretty disheartened to find out that they're coming from a hairline crack in the block. So it's actually leaking straight out through the block. It looks like it's coming from this tap, but actually up in there there's a crack that runs down. It runs across here as well. It's really hard to see. I could only see it because there was water coming out of it. Obviously I'd never tested this block or anything. I just took it in good faith that it was all good, and well now, as it seems, I got to go back, way back before I even got this car, so I thought I wasn't going to have to do this. I actually thought this car was going to be done in a couple months, but that engine has to come out and needs a new engine, so this build just got a lot more interesting. I don't think I'm going to be putting stock internals back in it. Kind of really pissed off, kind of a little bit excited for what this could be now that I have to pull out the engine anyway. It's going to be a lot of work. I wasn't really hoping on doing that. It's a bit annoying. I bought this car and supposedly all it needed was wiring harness and then topped up with fluids and good to go. So it's been a lot more than that. I always knew it was going to be more than that, but I was hoping that the engine had been, you know, put back together by a machine shop. The heads got redone and stuff like that, so I think I've been left high and dry here, but it's alright. We're gonna come back and we're gonna do it better, bigger. It's annoying though that all of this has to come back out, but at least now when it goes back together there'll be a wiring loom for it. There'll be vacuum hoses, coolant hoses, all the stuff that has taken me to get to this point. I won't have to do that, so I think I've actually done the hard part, the wiring and all the computer and stuff like that. I'm not as good with that stuff as actually just pulling engines apart, so I think this might actually not be too bad, but I wasn't expecting on doing this, so it's a bit of a bummer. There is still a bit of coolant in the engine now though, so I might just try and give it a bit of a start and just see if we can get it to idle just for a little bit. What's the worst that can happen? This engine's going to come out anyway, so I thought we'll just give it a start and then I can just plug in my diagnostic program and make sure that all the sensors and everything work, and so then we'll know while the engine's out. But yeah, I'm just going to do the last couple of things like that and then pretty much get to removing this engine. And I was just saying that I need to change that axle seal, so that just made that a lot more convenient now that the engine and gearbox have to come out anyway. So there were a couple of other things that weren't done completely properly with this build, I think, and I think this is going to give me the chance to do everything my way. I think it's going to be a lot cleaner, so anyway, that's the end of this video. I'll show you at start and we'll be back with the engine out in a couple months. Yeah. That's enough.